Hello. Hi. Namaste. My name is Avatans Kumar. I'm here on behalf of Hindu Speakers Bureau to talk about Hinduism. I am a linguist by training. I have graduate studies from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. I'm originally from India. I came here exactly 30 years ago as a graduate student. And I am also a writer and columnist. I write articles in various magazines and newspapers. I also worked in IT, and I am also president and trustee of a not-for-profit organization, Indica, that works in the domain of Indian knowledge tradition. So that's what I am. I'll give it to Neena, my friend.
Namaste. Can you hear me? Okay. I am Neena Narumanchi. In my day job, I'm a project manager. In my personal time, I like to talk about Hinduism and make people aware about the Hindu concepts. We want to thank St. Ignatius and Katie for inviting us here today to talk about Hinduism with all of you. I'm excited and looking forward to this.
Okay, so by the show of hands, how many of you have heard about Hinduism? Oh, almost all of you. Okay, pretty good. Okay.
What concepts, I guess? What have you heard about Hinduism?
What do you know? Or what has given you some questions about Hinduism? Atma and Brahman, yes, very good. Anything else? Sansara and Moksha. Excellent, very good. Dharma and karma, excellent. Our job is done, right? We should go home. Okay, anything else? What would you like to know more about, maybe, today? Okay, all right. Well, we'll try to cover some of it, and hopefully we'll have some time to have a question and answer session, and we'll go from there, okay? Okay, so Om, Namaste. So Om is a very sacred symbol for us. It represents the cosmic sound, primal cosmic sound. And Namaste is the way we recognize the divinity in you. So when I say Namaste, literally means how I recognize the divine in you and I bow to that divine. That's the form of greeting in India across the languages. All right, this is a very important part for us. You see all those color glasses? So they represent filters for me here, because what I'm going to talk about may require unfiltering your eyes. Some of the concepts and notions you may have heard about may not be exactly the same as we perceive, but we have different terms and terminologies to talk about those concepts, but because of the language problem, we have to use those terms. So for example, religion. We are going to be talking about Hindu religion, but believe me, there are no terms in Hinduism or any Indian language for the word religion. What we do use is dharma, and we'll come to that, so talk about it. So same soul, we hear about those terms very often. Soul is very different than what we use, atma. Okay, so keep that in mind when I am using those words that you are very familiar with may not have the exact same meaning that we are talking about. So a few factoids about Hinduism. It's one of the oldest surviving religion in the world. And we have a traceable history of over 5,000 years. So it is also a non-proselytizing religion because we don't convert anybody to Hinduism. The reason for it is that in our tradition we believe that everybody is following the path of spirituality based on his or her own beliefs and traditions, and they are all the paths of reaching to the same end. Neena in the last class gave a very good example. If you want to come to St. Ignatius, there are so many streets that I can take. Some could be shorter, some could be longer. With some I need to take interstate, with some I can just walk. So think of those, St. Ignatius being the ultimate reality, ultimate goal, but the different paths that we take are the religions. So we don't discriminate among any path. People do take their own path based on their own abilities, which is mental, physical, intellectual. It could be any of that.
Yep.
We have some of the oldest texts in our tradition. Vedas are the oldest texts. Among the Vedas, there are 4. Rig Veda is the oldest text. And Neena will talk about those texts in a little bit. We have the oldest knowledge tradition, so things that you consider in your academics right now, for example, mathematics, the medicine, the astronomy, the literature, architecture. Those are some of the very... So we have one of the oldest traditions in the world. So I'll give you a quick example is from mathematics. The concept of zero is from India, is a Hindu tradition. The concept of decimal system, that's a very Indian tradition, Indian thing. The numerals that you use, 1, 2, 3, that's Hindu numerals. The West learned that from the Arabic scholars, who in turn learned them from Hindu scholars. So they are called, there was a time when they were called Arabic numerals, but now they are called Hindu numerals. So I can go on and on that, but we understand that we have a very old tradition, and it's still continuing. We have a different epistemology separate in our Hindu tradition.
And the third largest religion.
Yes, third largest faith tradition in the world, behind Christianity and Islam.
It's practiced by 1.2 billion people.
Yeah. So quickly about the nature of divine here. We have these concepts, monotheistic, polytheistic, and all those. Like we said earlier, briefly, we believe in an ultimate reality, Brahman, which is the supreme reality. And then we can have manifestation of those reality as different gods and goddesses that we have in Hinduism. You must have heard that Hindus have lots of gods. That doesn't necessarily mean that we are polytheistic. We still believe in one singular reality which has various manifestations. So we'll talk about it in a little bit. And then we have, the Purusha, Shakti, and Prakriti. Purusha is the humankind, you can call it. And there is a complex interplay of Purusha and Prakriti. Prakriti is the nature, which is the feminine part. And the Prakriti is all very powerful. Nature is very powerful. There is an interplay of Purusha and Prakriti. And the Prakriti is very powerful, and that's called Shakti. So we have the concept of feminine divine. It's one of the religions that has that concept.
Yeah.
And so what is that Brahman? We talked about the singular reality, Brahman. Brahman is limitless, timeless, was never born, will never be born, will never die. There was not a time when it did not exist, and there will not be a time when it will not exist. So and it pervades every single element of this cosmology. So think of this stage, think of moons, the stars, the planets, the rocks, the rivers, the animals, the fish, everything is part of that Brahman. And it is expressed in many ways. It's, it has many manifestations. Just from getting that abstract notion into a manifest notion so people can understand that. Okay?
And I think that's the aspect that's most misunderstood because of the many gods. I think the general understanding is that we have many gods, but what we wanted to clarify today is that in reality, we believe only in one true Brahman, but that Brahman has taken many forms. And why, we'll see in the next slide.
Yeah, so these are the manifestations, some of the manifestations of that Brahman, and we can have them, we call them Devi Devatas, you can think of them as gods and goddesses. We all have, so for example, Lakshmi is the manifestation of female divinity, but also is the giver of wealth. So if you are into wealth, then you're going to go worship Lakshmi. Same, we have Saraswati, she's the goddess of knowledge. And then we have Rama and Krishna. Krishna is also very well-known God. And then we have Ganesh and Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. You're going to talk about divinity, Trinity, sorry.
Right. So to understand this concept a little better, I've been giving this example. So I am, as a person, I'm a wife to somebody, I'm a daughter to somebody, I'm a sister to somebody, I'm a mother to somebody. It's just one me. But I have all these different manifestations. When I'm working in my company, I'm an employee. And when I'm at home and cooking for my family, I'm a provider. So I have all these various roles that I'm playing, but it's still me. So this is the same concept. There's just one Brahman, but they have taken on various manifestations. And what this helps is that we can actually have a personal God. The Durga that's listed over there is one of my favorites and personal gods. I pray to her every day because Durga is a manifestation of strength and power. So when I look at her, I feel I need to pray to her because I believe in the strength and power manifestation of the God. Similarly, I think Avatans Krishna is your favorite.
Right, because from the childhood, because Krishna is a very playful God, it brings smile on your face when you see him as a child stealing butter from a vessel. So some of the things that you do as kids, innocent things. So that's why I like Krishna, Bhagavan Krishna.
Yeah. And then the gods in the middle, the Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh or Shiva, are the Trinity gods of Hinduism. So what we believe is that Brahma is the creator of this universe, and Vishnu maintains this universe as it exists right now. And when it is time for the universe to end and restart again, Mahesh or Shiva is the one who ends the universe so that it can restart again. That's our belief. And Vishnu actually has taken several avatars. Avatar is when the God has taken a human form and he has descended on the earth to take care of a few things. So a couple of avatars of Vishnu very revered by Hindus are Rama and Krishna, Lord Rama and Lord Krishna. And then we will, a little further down, we will look into that in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, so like Neena was talking about the Trinity here. Before we do that, here we have to look at here the concept of time. The Hindu concept of time, notion of time, is cyclical as opposed to linear. We don't, we never fall off the cliff. So everything just keeps going, just like a season. You have day and night. You have a season. Different season comes every year. You have birth and life, and that's when Neena was talking about the Trinity. When Shiva is considered the one who just cleans up, recycles.
Restarts.
When the time comes for a rebirth to recycle, he comes and he takes care of all of it. Very important concept is dharma. You already know, and because you talked about it, dharma is the principal concept of Hinduism. It's so important that our tradition is called Sanatan Dharma, the eternal Dharma. Dharma is one that sustains the world. It's a rule, it's a law, you can call it, the duty that sustains the entire world. And it is aimed at securing why we have dharma. So because it's securing goodwill for all, and it's for love for all well-being. We all have dharma, and at different times we have different dharma. For example, Neena already talked about different manifestations, but also think I'm here in front of you talking about Hinduism as a teacher, let's say. So right now my dharma is to teach. It's good for you that we are doing. When I'm at home, I'm a father, I'm a husband. My parents passed away, but before that, when they were there, I was a son to them. When I go to work, I am a worker. So all of that has dharma, and it has to be, if you're doing something that does not bring any good for others, then it's not adharma, it's not bad dharma, but it's not good dharma either. The other concept similar is Rita. Rita is the law of the entire cosmology. Like we talked about the seasons, the day and night, the life and birth, they're all guided by this concept.
Yeah, I think just to add a little further, the dharma, it's not like one rule for everybody. It really aligns to the role that you're playing. And one example I can give is like, if you're just a random person that's killing an animal, then you're definitely doing adharma. But if you are a butcher and your profession is to sell meat, then you're not doing adharma, because you're doing work according to your profession. So just want to be clear that it is that specific. Dharma is very specific to the role that you're playing at a given point of time. Then okay, so then now let's just look at some of the literatures and texts that Hindus have. I will use the word scriptures, because we all understand that scripture is basically associated with spiritual words. So Hindus have many sacred and revered scriptures. Among them, the Vedas are the most revered. We have 4 Vedas. They are called the Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, and Atharva Veda. So Vedas are basically revelations of sacred sounds and texts that were heard by ancient sages after intense meditation. These revelations were heard by them, and hence Vedas also have another name called Shruti. Shruti basically means that which was heard. And these Vedas over several millennia were transmitted from generation to generation in an oral tradition. So the teacher would teach the students by reciting the Vedas, and the students would just hear the Vedas and learn it. They would memorize it and learn it that way. For several millennia, that's how it was transmitted. Eventually, of course, the Vedas were documented using a script. But because it was learnt and memorized, it also has the name of Smriti. Smriti basically means learning from your memory. So those are the 3 names for Vedas. So what do the Vedas contain? So Rig Veda is the oldest among all of them. The Rig Veda basically contains prayers to the various gods that we were talking about. It documents, for lack of a better word, prayers to various gods. Then when it comes to the Sama Veda, it has melodious ritual chants that are documented in the Sama Veda. Then when we come to the Yajur Veda, this basically talks about or describes the practical aspects of worship and rituals. So when I worship in my home every day, what are the processes that I need to follow? If I'm having a wedding in my family, what is the process for the wedding? So all those details are in the Yajur Veda. And when it comes to the Atharva Veda, it basically contains procedures of daily life. So if I have to live my life in a dharmic way, what is it I'm supposed to do? That is all documented in the Atharva Veda. Now, we do have several other texts which you probably are not able to see because of the small font there, but the Aranyakas, the Brahmanas, the Puranas, the Upanishads, all of these other texts, they are all rooted in the Vedas. Their source is from the Vedas, and one of the most celebrated scriptures of Hindus is the Bhagavad Gita. So the Bhagavad Gita was a proclamation by Lord Krishna when he had taken the avatar on earth, and that Gita is a summary of all of these Vedas. Now there are two more texts I want to talk about. These are historical texts and they are called Ramayana and Mahabharata. You probably might have come across them. So when the two avatars were born on earth, which is Lord Rama and Lord Krishna, their timeline is documented in this historical text, which is Ramayana and Mahabharata. Again, very revered text for Hindus. Okay, then let's talk about Hindu philosophy. It's actually called Darshana, which literally means to see. So the Hindu philosophy is divided into two categories. One is Astika, one is Nastika. What does that mean? Astika philosophies, they accept Vedas as the authority, the Vedas that we just discussed. The Nastika philosophies, they do not accept Vedas as their authority. But whether they accept Vedas as authority or not, the purpose of these philosophies is to inquire into the human condition. The goal of these philosophies is to help human beings remove the ignorance that they are currently circled in, and the goal is to remove the physical suffering and the mental ailments of the humankind. That's the purpose of the philosophies. Now, I think the most beautiful aspect of Hindu Dharma is that it is pluralist and it accepts everything. And what I mean by that is that the Charvak philosophy that's listed in the other section, number 1, this is a philosophy that doesn't believe in God. It doesn't believe God exists. It thinks that humans have one birth, now and here, and it believes we must enjoy our life to the fullest, use all the materials that the universe can provide to you, and just enjoy your life. That's the philosophy. So someone can follow the Charvak philosophy and he or she would still be accepted as a Hindu. So you can definitely, align to the sort of the philosophical thought process that you want, and you will still be considered and accepted. You won't be censured or shunned. I think one example we have seen across in India is that a family can consist of, let's say, 4 members. Each of them can follow a different philosophy, but there are no problems. They are still part of a family. There are no no aggressiveness against one versus the other. So it's very, very accepting. The one more philosophy is Buddhism. So you all must have heard about Lord Buddha. Lord Buddha was actually born as a Hindu. His name was Gautama. And then as he went through his life, started questioning, why he was born, and finally he achieved enlightenment. He became the Buddha. He was called the Buddha. And then his disciples, when they started learning his teachings and the faith of Buddhism started off, that's how the faith of Buddhism started off. Now, we as Hindus, even though Buddhism is now sort of a separate religious faith, we still pray to Lord Buddha because we still believe that, he is the enlightened one and he was able to reach God.
He's one of the avatars now.
He's one of the avatars.
Yeah.
Let's talk about one more, which is yoga. Most of you must have heard about yoga, but what we know about yoga is just physical exercises, breathing, breathing control exercises. That is not yoga in its entirety. Yoga is actually a philosophy, and it's an 8-fold philosophy. So out of the 8 aspects of philosophy, only 2 of them are the physical exercises and the breathing exercises. There are 6 other aspects of yoga, and when one follows all of these aspects, you are able to reach salvation, or what we call as moksha, which is you're able to reach God. So it's an entire philosophy, not just the workout routines that we see outside. Just wanted to explain that to you. Then Vedanta. So Vedanta is a very, very prolific philosophy. Many people in India and Hindus, they follow it. In fact, Avatans and I also follow the Vedanta philosophy, and so we'll dig a little deeper into that. So it has many concepts, but we will focus on these here. The first one is, of course, the concept of Brahman. So as we said, Brahman is the true self, consciousness, awareness, and the only reality. So what is consciousness? So the fact that we are sitting here, I'm able to talk, you're able to listen, we're able to see each other. This is happening because there is a consciousness in our body right now. There's a power in our body right now. So, and that power is Brahman. So the body, so what would that mean? That the body consists of two things. The body is the physical body, and then you have what you would loosely call as a soul, but we call it as Atma. So these two have come together and we have taken shape. When this Atma or consciousness leaves us, then the body becomes useless. That basically equates to death. Because once the consciousness leaves us, we are not able to do anything that we are able to do right now. And then who is this Atma? Who is this consciousness? We all believe it's part of the Brahman. So the Brahma is the Paramatma, like the bigger Atma, and then we are all part of that Paramatma, all of us. And that's why, as he said earlier, animals, rivers, trees, any living thing is considered to have this consciousness or Paramatma or Atma in them, and that's the reason why Hindus pray to everything.
Yeah, one of the quick ways that we talk about Atma and Paramatma and this body is that we think of the body as clothes that you wear. We change the clothes, but the body remains the same. It's the same relationship we have with Atma and body.
Yeah. And then the doctrine of karma, again, karma you must have heard. We generally think karma is something bad that you might have done, like a physical action that was bad. But we really wanted to provide clarity that karma is beyond physical action. It's physical action, both verbal and physical, or rather action, verbal and physical, and even thoughts, good or bad, all of them are karma. And the one example I would say is, like, let's just say two students worked very hard, they took an exam, one of them scored very well, the other didn't. So if the one who didn't score, in his or her mind, if he just thinks, oh, the other one didn't deserve it, she or he didn't deserve those marks, even that is bad karma. So any thought, even if it's a thought, if you have in your mind that is bad, it's bad karma. But on the other hand, if you are really proud of this person in your mind, you've not expressed anything to them, then it's good karma. So just want to clarify that all actions, verbal, physical, as well as thoughts, are good karma or bad karma. So then that leads us to the next concept, which is rebirth or reincarnation. Again, you must have heard this about Hindus. We believe that all beings take multiple births. Why? Because let's say in this birth, I've accumulated a certain amount of bad karma, and I might have also accumulated a certain amount of good karma. How does that clear? So if I have done something bad to somebody, because we believe in the cosmic law that whatever you do, you have to experience that. And I think it's a very fair law, which is like, if I have done something bad to somebody, I must pay for it. There must be a punishment for it. It might not happen in this birth, but I will take another birth and I will pay for it. Similarly, if I had done something wonderful for somebody, that means I have accumulated good karma, then I must also benefit from it. I must enjoy that good karma. So in that next birth, when something good happens to me, that is the enjoyment or benefit I have gotten by doing good karma in my previous births. So that's why we believe that all beings are born again and again and again to either remove their bad karma or to enjoy their good karma. So the question then raises, so are we just always going to be, endlessly be born? When is the end to this cycle? So the end to this cycle is when you neither have bad karma nor good karma. So the karma has zero. It's equal. It's zero. There's nothing left. And at that point, we believe that you will achieve salvation. That is, your Atma will go and join Paramatma. That is, you will basically join God. That's what we believe in. Now this can take several. Okay, this can take several cycles of birth and death, but eventually that is the goal of human being. We believe human beings must have that goal of eventually never having a birth or death cycle anymore.
Yeah, that's the moksha. And so how can you have not good karma that we're talking about? So when we talk about karma, good karma, that karma has to be selfless karma. without any expectation of reward from that karma.
So we spoke about salvation or moksha. So what are the paths to the salvation or moksha? So I'm now born as a human being. I have my bundle of bad and good karma. What should I do so that I can eventually reach this salvation point?